Haven't done one of these in a while. First one in the new house. Let's talk about the AFL Indigenous All-Stars game versus Fremantle, a match review. So the game finished up 20 or so minutes ago, and I wanted to get this out because I've got so many feelings in regards to it. First off, footy is back, and it was so good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the game. I'll talk about the Collingwood players towards the end as well, because obviously it's a Collingwood channel. But it was just, so good to see that footy was back and a competitive game. Now, the only thing that I sort of have to compare it to, because I wasn't around when State of Origin and all that sort of stuff was on and stuff like that, right? So if you remember, it was the bushfire appeal where it was the All-Stars versus, it was like Vic versus the All-Stars or whatever. No, it was Vic versus the All-Stars, right? And that was a great game, but you could tell that they were just taking the piss, pretty much. Like, it was fun, they were laughing, they weren't really going hard and all this sort of stuff. And that was good, it was like a taste of it. But this Indigenous All-Stars game versus Fremantle, I felt like no one sort of backed down. Now, I know, it's a couple of weeks before the season starts. You don't want to go 110%. I get that. I understand that. But this game had some feeling. And you could see it when one of the All-Stars got knocked out. Was it Rioli? He got sort of hit after a mark. And then there was a bit of a scuffle. And we love that. And scuffles to me in this sort of game, when you're on the same teams and stuff like that, it just shows me that there is passion and there is a want for this sort of game. And the last Indigenous All-Star game wasn't for like 10 years. So it was 10 years ago, the last one. And I hope we get to see this every bloody year. And I hope it's in Perth every year. Vic, we've got the grand final at the MCG for the next 50 years. South Australia have gather round. Sydney and Queensland have opening round, which they probably don't even want, but they've got opening round with 8 teams. I want the All-Stars game, the Indigenous All-Stars game, to be at Optus Stadium all the time. I probably don't want it to be against Fremantle and West Coast. I want it to be the Indigenous All-Stars versus give me the AFL All-Stars. Give me the All-Australian team or something like that, because I think that would just sell out. That would be absolutely incredible. And it's a good curtain raiser to the season. Like, the season starts in like 3 weeks or so. I say the season starts, but we know that it's opening round and it doesn't really start until round 1. So I want this to be the curtain raiser for the season and even the curtain raiser for the practice matches. Like, we had a match sim, the Doggies against Essendon, that no one's really talking about, unless you obviously support those teams. But I just had so much fun watching this, and I was barracking for players that I just never barracked for, just never watched. That's another point that I want to sort of bring up as well. What this game sort of did for me personally, because look, I consume obviously a lot of Collingwood stuff, a lot of Collingwood content. I watch other games every now and then, but I don't sit on the couch and watch 9 games around. So some of these players that are running around, like, I know of them and I've seen the highlights and stuff, but I haven't seen them play. Like, I've seen Jai Simpkin play, but I watched him play today. This guy can play. No wonder why he's leading the Kangaroos. He's their captain and all this sort of stuff. He can play. Horn Francis, I know that he's a good player. I saw him do things that I just never saw him do. Tim Kelly, all these sort of players. Humphreys as well. Like, all these players where little bits and pieces from them, but you got to see them work just so well. The synergy between that team, and they've only been together for 3 days, was second to none, and Fremantle just had no answers for them. Now, on the Fremantle side, I don't really know what that side looked like compared to a round 1 side, what the difference is going to be. Obviously, Walters was captain of the All-Stars. He's going to play at Fremantle, obviously. So I don't know what that sort of makeup looked like, if it was their best team, if it was 60, 70% of their best team. But they still tried to give it a go. And Fremantle are one of those teams where they're saying top 4. I even said they were top 4. Premiership. I know I'm not saying look into this game and you're not going to win it. But I'm just saying they're a good team. On paper, they're a good team. but the All-Stars just absolutely took them to the cleaners, and it was just so good to see. And this has really gotten me. I was excited for the football because, next week Collingwood are playing Brisbane and Gold Coast, the match sim. And I'm excited for that. I'm so excited for that. But this game has gotten me just pumped. I was yelling on the couch for players that aren't even Collingwood players. That's when when I'm up and about yelling for players and yelling against players that I don't have any skin of the game on. It was just, I need to, AFL, if you're watching this, I know you're not, but if you are, I need to see this every single year. And I want to see different teams. Maybe it's not an All-Stars team. Maybe it's not, an AFL All-Stars team. Maybe it's Fremantle this year, West Coast next year. Well, actually, if it's in Perth, it'll probably only be Fremantle and West Coast. So no, give me an All-Stars. Give me All-Stars versus All-Stars. I had a DM during the game, and it was in regards to the Rugby All-Stars game that they do. So in the NRL, they do the Indigenous All-Stars and the Maori All-Stars. So both All-Star teams, so it's not just the Indigenous All-Stars versus Storm or Maori versus the Maori All-Stars versus the Storm. So it's two All-Star teams. And, they've got the haka, they've got the Indigenous war cry, and we saw the Indigenous war cry at the start of this game as well. But look, I'm not an NRL fan, but something like that, if we could replicate that, and they've been doing that for years, and I think Sonny Walters talked about it, that they've been doing that for years as well. It's something, it creates that sort of pathway. It gives the young Indigenous boys and girls something to sort of look forward to. And Bobby Hill was watching it in 2015, and then he goes and kicks 4 goals. It was just, I loved it. I can't say enough how much I loved it and how much I need this every single year. But give me All-Stars versus All-Stars, because I think that would just be mind-blowing. So now let's talk about the Collingwood players. So we had Ash Johnson and we had Bobby Hill.
Good pressure from the All-Stars. They'll open up again. Bobby Hill with a snap for the first. The celebrations start early for the All-Stars.
Start with Ash Johnson. Ash Johnson played predominantly in the ruck going up against Luke Jackson. I thought he was doing so well, up to the point where he got injured, and I'll talk about that in a second. I thought he was doing so well. And Ash Johnson, we sort of know as Collingwood supporters what he sort of goes through, and he has a good game, then he has a bad game, that sort of consistency. He got dropped from the side and then picked up as a rookie along with Oleg Markov. And that might have been the sort of the kick that he needed. But I thought he started this game really well, and I was excited to see a couple of 1-2s. Hit a nice kick to Horn Francis and set up a goal. And then he goes off injured. They're saying it's a right leg injury. There's sort of been nothing else reported. As soon as something gets reported, me and Ethan will talk about that once there's a little bit more to sort of talk about. But at the moment, it just looks like it's a right leg injury, which I'm shattered, because Ash Johnson over the years, when he does have a good game, or he has a couple of good games, there's always an injury, and it's just really annoying. It's nothing against him. That just happens. Injuries happen. What can you do, So that is disappointing. But I really liked how he started the game, and I hope that gives him the confidence that he needs to go and have a good season with the Pies in the VFL, and hopefully seeing him in the AFL, because we know what he can do on the big stage. We saw it against Geelong. We saw it against Carlton. He can Essendon. He can flip a game on its head. Just needs that confidence, and I hope he didn't have a lot of game time. Like, what was his game time? He had 44%. So he had half a game, and I hope that gave him enough confidence. 1, getting picked in the team, and 2, just a good 50%. It was 44%. So a good 44%, just to take it back. Hopefully the injury is not too bad, and he comes and dominates this season. Now, our boy Norm, our boy Bobby Hill. What's there to say? He could have kicked 6 goals. There was an opportunity to, he missed a couple of easy set shots. I say easy when I'm watching it on the couch eating fish and chips. There could have been, 5 or 6 goals. He gives one off and that misses, but that's fine. 4 goals. Kicks 4 goals in the grand final, wins a Norm Smith. Kicks 4 goals in the first Indigenous All-Stars game in 10 years. He was just on fire. He gave me this feeling in my stomach that it was just like I'm buzzing. I'm buzzing. He was dazzling. I'm buzzing. I've got butterflies. And I know I said earlier you can't read too much into this game because we don't know, real season, blah, blah, blah. But if Bobby can produce that at the feet of Membry, Mychek, McStay, next to Schultz, next to Bo McCreary, next to Jamie Elliott, possibly next to Will Hayes as well, I feel like Bobby Hill could kick, if this is any indication, and I know this is going to be a big call, right? I understand that. Could he kick 40 goals this season? Could he be a premier forward pocket, a small forward pocket where he doesn't have to do too much anymore because we've got those big men behind him? And he can use that explosiveness. He can use that skill that he has that was on display there that we've seen for the last 2 years. Already, he's in probably, what would you say? Would you say top 5 small forwards in the competition? I'll let you discuss that in the comments. Could this be a chance for him to get on stage as an All-Australian? Could he get a blazer? Could he even make the squad? Because if that's what he's going to be producing this year, opposition defenses aren't going to be able to stop him. And we're like Hydra at the moment, right? You cut Bobby Hill down, Jamie Elliott pops up. You cut Jamie Elliott down, Bobby Hill pops up. Bo McCreary, bang, 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 bang. It is a tantalising prospect. And I think I've used tantalising so many times this preseason, but it is. This Collingwood team is tantalising. This forward line is going to be led by, those big men, obviously. And then at the feet, you've got Bobby Hill doing Bobby Hill things. And he can just do Bobby Hill things. 2-3 goals every few games would be nice. What did he finish on last season? 33 goals. I got a feeling he's going to kick 40. He's going to be that crummer that we've missed. We've missed a pure crummer these last couple of years because with injuries and stuff, players have to play tall. They're sort of out of position. So that game has given me confidence in Bobby Hill that he is going to have a career best season. Oh, look, but he won a premiership and a Norm Smith. He's going to have a career best season this season. And again, Ash Johnson, 2 goal assists on debut with the All-Stars. Incredible, 44% game time. I just hope that leg isn't too bad. But I am so excited. I need more of this football. I'm so glad it's around the corner because I'm chomping at the bit to just get really stuck into it. But this All-Star game was massive. It was a massive success from what I'm seeing and from what I'm reading in comments on Instagram and Facebook and all this sort of stuff. People are loving it. Need to see this more every single year, AFL. Give it to us. Let's go. Let's absolutely go. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.